All Things Motoring International is owned and brought to you by SA's most trusted online vehicle platform, ChangeCars. Our name says it all. Whether you're looking to sell, need advice, need finance, or need insurance, ChangeCars has you covered. In this week's episode of All Things Motoring, we attend the VW Golf's Heritage Bash in Benoni, and Ernest is back with another retro review. This is a show full of history and heritage.
So you want a sports car that's going to give you all the thrills on the track at the local track day. But you want to spend under 200,000. There are many options available, some of them good and some of them not so good. But there is one that is often overlooked, and it is the Toyota MR2. There's so much interesting trivia about the MR2. Number one, it was only sold in South Africa for just 1 year, where all over the world it was sold for multiple years. Two, it was sold for about 230,000. So now it's kind of become a bit of a bargain. But for all those juicy tidbits, before I get into the meat and potatoes of this specific one, let's throw it to the voice in the sky.
Introduced in 1986 in South Africa, the MR2 was a development of the Toyota prototype named SAX, a result of the company's eagerness to experiment with varying engine layouts, drivetrain methods, and overall vehicle balance for performance. The MR2 was originally designed as a fuel-efficient commuter for two people, but when this was considered too advanced for conservative buyers, the project was refocused to become an affordable sports car, a modern version of the Toyota iconic Sports 800. The name MR2 stands for Midship Runabout Two-Seater, though it should be noted that the initials MR also refer to the vehicle's layout, mid-engined, rear-wheel drive. Special performance variants of the MR2 are rare. A single all-wheel drive Group B rally prototype of the Mark I MR2 dubbed 222D began development in Japan but was left unfinished with the demise of the race class in 1986. Today, the car resides in the Japanese Toyota factory collection. Mark II MR2s, for a time, could be factory converted to look like the wide-body TRD 2000 GT race cars that ran in Japan's GTC series, but the high cost meant that just 35 were ever built by Toyota Technocraft. Limited numbers of turbocharged Mark III MR2s were built for the UK market, while Japanese buyers could order a version restyled by Italian design house Zagato.
So the MR2 has been on my shopping list for many, many years, but not this one, the beautiful pop-up light Mark II MR2 with the turbocharger. This one over here is normally aspirated and it's got a soft top. And I have to say, I never liked this car. And the frog eye, bug eye front lights didn't do it any favors in my books. But therein lies the lure with this car. It's still not that well liked, which makes it a secret bargain in the classifieds. I've known Nicholas for over 20 years. He's the owner of this car, which is why, Mike, I can lean up against it. I've also asked permission to lean up against it. And he's got a whole bunch of different wheel options that go on this car depending on the mood. It is a proper track day car, this one over here. And I think there is exactly where this car slots in. You see, this one over here is not 100% standard, but it's tweaked in all the right ways. He's got these bonnet lifters over here because the original car doesn't come with it. He's got a strut brace at the back here that's strengthened to give it extra rigidity, and even the bottom of the car is braced up as well. It's also got an aftermarket exhaust by our friends at Profit, and the wheels and tires are interchangeable between semi-slicks and road-going tires depending on the mood. It's got the 103 kilowatt Toyota Corolla GSX engine, which doesn't sound like a lot, but because it weighs under a ton, it gives it an incredible power-to-weight ratio. This car over here is potentially going under the knife in the future, and therein again is another bonus on this car. It's the ultimate project car because you can change it to a Toyota 2ZZ engine, which is the 141 kilowatt Ranex motor, which I think would just... that's my dream car. And then, of course, you can go Honda K-Series, etc., etc. But even in standard trim around the track, it's wonderful. Now, the standard suspension on this car does work relatively well, but I found on the circuit it's a bit too wallowy, a bit too soft, a bit too wishy-washy. And this car here has the track spec upgrade from ISC. And Nicholas went for the top spec one, which has damper adjustment, height adjustment, camber tops, and all of these fancy things to lower the center of gravity and improve the handling. So I've got a confession to make. I am at a racetrack. I'm alone on a racetrack, but the racetrack's also closed for preparation for the new season. So we're basically just doing a slow drive on a really smooth circuit right now. But I have spent a lot of time driving this car and others like it very fast around here. This is the pure sports definition of a sports car. You've got the engine at the back, you've got the roof down, but according to the owner, he also has the hardtop, and with the hardtop on, the chassis is actually more rigid. These ISC coilovers that are installed here does make the car a little bit more bouncy, even over the smooth track over here. So on the road, you'll feel it. I would suggest the standard setup for the road, though. Japanese cars of this era really did get a lot right. The seating position, the pedal position, the steering position, the gear shift. Oh, even the sound of this car. It just sounds right. It feels like I'm supposed to be going a lot faster with the roof down. And unfortunately, I had to put the roof up because of all the sunlight coming in here. You wouldn't be able to see me otherwise. Storage inside here is minimal, although there are quite a few little hidden compartments everywhere. So you can put away at least a packet of cigarettes or a box of matches, maybe. I didn't know, but this car actually has a cup holder here. I've spent so much time with the Master Drive MR2s, a company that I do some work for, and there's a cup holder there. I didn't know that. This one's got an aftermarket Sony radio, which is way better than the standard version. Another interesting tidbit is that the visor here has been removed and a custom bracket has been fitted in its place for the GoPro for those track days. The next upgrade on this car, again specifically for track days, is the seat. And although it is a buckety type seat, I've also noticed that when cornering fast, it's not the most supportive. But when it comes to these types of project cars, the lists, they don't end easily.
Coming up after the break, we attend the VW Golf Heritage Bash in Benoni. In the words of Michael Pashut, folks, it's never too late. Are you looking to sell? Visit Change Cars and click on the Selling tab.
So today we're at VW Benoni City. We're hosting a 50th anniversary bash for the Mark 1s. But yeah, we have the full generation from the Mark 1 to the Mark 8s. All brands have been welcomed. We've had a few BMWs. We've had other vehicles like your Tiguan's, your VWs, but like your Tiguan's, your Tigers. So it's just open to all the brand, but it's basically just a 50th anniversary just to appreciate what generation the VW has offered us to the public. I've always been a VW fan since I was a child. So the brand will always be a love to me. I've always loved it. And just German brands in particular, not only just VWs, your Audis, your BMWs, they're all like beautiful vehicles. They can take you from A to B. Even if they're on the last lifespan, they'll still take you where you need to be. So yeah, I've always loved the brand. I came across a collab about a month ago, 2 months ago, called the Female Enthusiasts. They have their own little group where they do little park-offs, mainly by there in the Lakefield side in Benoni. So we went to one of their night runs, and I offered them to come through just to show that there are a lot of females out there that are interested in vehicles, because a lot of the VW events or even car events are very male-dominant. So it was very nice to have them. But unfortunately, I had to leave early because there's a lot of car events happening today. So it has been an in and out and overlapping of events, but we're happy with the turnout from today. The team behind me, obviously there is a few COM members that are behind me. I just want to say thank you to them. Today wouldn't have been possible without them. It has been very strenuous, but also thank you to Darshan, that's the car sales manager here. He managed to give us the premises for the day, and he's helped with a lot of organization. But otherwise than that, thank you to everyone, even the food stands for coming through, for spending the day with us, and also the public for just showing face and supporting the people for the day as well.
I really enjoyed the day today, meeting the VW family, obviously the female car enthusiasts, you know, it's all like a big family. Seeing the love for VW from the Mark 1s to the MK8, yeah, it's really awesome just to see the love for the brand. My first car was a VW City, 1800 carburetor. 4 years ago, I was lucky enough to get this one. It's a Golf 6 GTI 2012. It's got stage 2 software, a K4 hybrid turbo. It's got induction kit, full exhaust from the front to the back, some gearbox software, very well looked after car, low mileage, and basically my dream car. The female car enthusiast is all about female drivers. Everybody thinks it's a man thing, or, you know, it's just men driving fast cars and nice cars. It's actually not. There's a lot of female drivers out there. We're not always recognized. So, yeah, I think the female car enthusiast it's a group that was created, or like a club. So where females can, whatever vehicle you drive, if you're female and you're a driver, you know, you noticed. So that's what they're all about.
Today I was with the FCE, the Female Car Enthusiasts. This is my Tiguan R-Line, mostly known as the Insane Racing Tiguan. My baby is my mom wagon. It's what the kids go to school in. Power-wise, it's over 500 horsepower on that one. Big turbo, everything you need, sporting mods. He's a big boy. So how I got into racing was my husband. He's got his race car, his Audi TTRS. And we got this car as our support vehicle, which ended up turning into my race car. With the racing in the car and stuff like that, today I was with the FCE, the Female Car Enthusiasts. They're just also a great group of ladies that are involved in the car scene as well.
So 2024, we have our first female chairman of the VW club. Steph is a big supporter of the club for many years, coming on all the dub runs, all the events. And they got involved also during COVID, we went on dub run. And they said they'd love to help and join the committee. So her husband, Manny, and her joined. And this year we voted her in as chairman because she's got such a passion for the brand and for the club. And she's brilliant at getting the events together. It's a new dynamic because there's a lot of female enthusiasts that are modding cars, and it was very male-dominated before. So, yeah, it's been amazing this year.
Being a passionate VW lover, you know, it's one thing seeing your standard city Golf, but then also another thing seeing your Golf 1 GTI. So, yeah, it was a pretty chill day, some beautiful cars out here. We look forward to these good events that happen that brings the community together. It is a Golf 4 GTI R, 2004 model, The vehicle was a one-owner car. Actually, my father's first cousin came down through the family. I told him when I was much younger to actually keep the vehicle for me, and he done so. So you get the Golf 4 GTI R, and then essentially there were only 250 units made in SA, nowhere else in the world. So I'm quite grateful. It is one of 250. I mean, I did drop the vehicle. I have some coilovers, static art coilovers that I invested in. Essentially put a different radio in the vehicle, but the vehicle is still stock and original. I'd like to believe you look after a vehicle, it'll look after you. You know what I'm saying?
I was actually an advertiser on the forum before Facebook came around. So I was obviously probably an active member for about 20 years. The only interest I really have is in Golf 1 cabriolets. That's it. So all we do is basically find them, restore them, make them left-hand drive, which is a bit of an issue, but that's all I've been doing for all these years is this. You don't see a lot of them anymore. So when you do see a cabriolet, it brings back 20 years worth of memories, you know? So that's basically what we do. I keep them, I build them, and I'm stuck with them. So I don't really want to sell them.
This is my 98 Golf 3 GTI, originally a GTI. Got the car for about a year and a half now. A month back, I decided to go the aspirated route. So my uncle did the build for me. It's a 20-valve turbo. It's the AUM engine, professionally built by him. The car, I call her Ella, named after my youngest daughter, Daniela. It's been a long road, even though it's only been a month and a half. A lot of money, as each and every car fanatic would know. I'm pleased with the results. I'm happy that I could spend the day with my daughter. And yeah, I'm glad.
Coming up after the break, Ernest completes his retro review of the third-gen Toyota MR2. Did you know? For decades, Volkswagen has been a major player in motorsports and racing. From rally cars to Formula One, Volkswagen continues to innovate the industry through its involvement in racing circles around the world. Volkswagen's success in Dakar Rally was marked by multiple victories and podium finishes. The German automaker's diesel-powered race Touaregs were a dominant force in the race. Volkswagen won 3 Dakar rallies in a row from 2009 to 2011. Volkswagen announced the closure of its motorsport division in December 2020 to focus on electric cars. The decision came after years of success in motorsport, including winning the World Rally Championship and the Dakar Rally. Thankfully, this did not affect the South African outfit that is now a worldwide bastion of VW motorsport, right here in South Africa. Today, Volkswagen Motorsport South Africa includes Rookie Cup, Polo Cup, Super Cup, and selected participation in Samola Hill Climb and Swartkorp's Top of the Hill. The program also features local talents such as Jonathan Mkhotsi, Daniel Rowe, Charles Visser, and Kyle Visser. We at All Things Motoring commend VW on their ongoing contribution to motorsport. Looking for finance and insurance? Visit Change Cars and click on the Financial Products tab.
The interior is cocooning, let's put it that way, so tall guys need not apply. But everything you need is in here and everything falls to hand. The ergonomics are good, but it is a little tight. My personal driving hero, Tiffany Dowell, mentioned that this is one of the better handling cars that he's ever driven. So I think we've done enough talking for now. Let's see if Tiff was right and take it for a spin. So on the road, and finally I can maybe stretch your legs a little bit. It's got 170,000 kilometers on the clock, and about 2,000 of that was done in the last year. You see, when this car's not doing track days, it's pretty much parked at home, getting ready for the next track day. you've got no weight on the front of the car, it does feel a bit strange. The steering is incredibly light and nimble because, again, there's no engine there. But what that does mean is that when you do try and go around a traffic circle fast like this, you kind of need to load up the nose a little bit to make sure that the car turns. But when it does turn, it turns. 500 of these cars were brought into the country and available in only 3 colors, silver, yellow, and red. This one, of course, being silver, so you won't find any of the other exotic colors that were available in other markets. Again, another reason why this car will, at some stage, I'm sure, become a rarity. Let's talk about some interesting trivia about this car. Standard, the wheels are actually slightly narrow in front and at the back. This one here runs a square setup on the wheels, so both wheels are 6.5 inches wide front and rear, opposed to 6 inches front, 6.5 at the back. All over the world, the car was sold from 2002 to 2005, but in South Africa, only 2002 models are available. In other markets, you also got a 6-speed option, where this one over here is 5-speed. Whether the chicken came first or the egg came first is the debate, but between this and Lotus, similar engine power plants were used, similar technology was used, and you try and find a Lotus Elise for under 150,000, let me know because I want one. Because this is a Toyota, most of the parts on here are relatively cheap, including engine, gearbox, and things like that. But what can be expensive is things like doors, fenders, lights, etc. But thankfully, they are still available from Toyota. Just be aware that that is where the premium costs lie with this car. One of the best things about this car is that it's still one of those rare JDM gems that you can find out that is probably still owned by an old person. And nothing against old people, but y'all drive slowly, which means this car is not going to be abused, unlike cars like the 200SX, 300ZX, etc., that found its way into the hands of guys like me. I've always liked the Mark II MR2, and in fact, it's still on my list of cars to acquire. And although I never liked this one, as soon as I drove it, I fell in love. And that's why this, to me, is one of my recommendations when it comes to the ultimate track day toy.
Here is the screen top tip of the week. Baby powder magic. Sprinkle baby powder on your leather seats before wiping them down. It helps keep them soft and prevents cracking. Before you buy a second-hand car, screen it. It's what smart people do. Coming up next week on All Things Motoring, Mike heads to PAMC Bonnets Up at the Pretoria Old Motor Club, and Ernest attends this year's classic car and bike show. This is a show that turns back the hands of time.
I've known Nicholas for over 20 years. He's the owner of this car, which is why, Mike, I can lean up against it. I've also asked permission to lean up against it.
My surname is Mendoza, M-E-N-O. Okay, can we restart?
Even at the bottom of the car, it's braced up too. This car over here is currently potentially under the knife, just as many, ISC coilovers with, you got damper adjustment, blah, blah, blah. Yes, sprue. Feel that Holy sh.
So this car, this specific car, belonged to an old lady with cats. Because I'm still cleaning cat hair.
And nothing against old people, but y'all drive slowly, which means this car is not going to be abused, unlike cars like the 200SX, 300ZX, etc., that found its way into the hands of guys like me.
I said,
Do you need any motoring advice? From where or what to buy? And where to sell? Visit the All Things Motoring International website and click the Advice tab to ask Mikey. All Things Motoring International was brought to you by SA's most trusted online vehicle platform, ChangeCars. Our name says it all. There is no safer online vehicle platform. That's not an opinion, that's a fact.